I dare say this. A brief pause, whether it's you're pausing to celebrate, whether reflecting, maybe you're grieving or you're overcoming a situation. If you go deep into that pause, or if you stay longer in a pause, in my opinion, I dare say that, you risk finding yourself in the blind spot. So, if you have ever had a situation where uh, you're at the top of the mountain, that is, you have attained a goal, you know, you're celebrating a victory, and you find yourself struggling to, get out of that and go back to, to push yourself um, to continue, doing a day-to-day. This video is for you. If you ever found yourself at the bottom, that is, maybe you've had a bad experience and you're struggling to find that energy to get you out of it so you can start climbing again, this video is for you as well. So stay with me to the end and let's take it. My good people, as usual, my heroes are here, serving my time and sharing as usual this very interesting community of ours and channel. So today's topic, as you've heard earlier, is inspired by I think a couple of experiences in the last 8 weeks. Well, I would say 8 weeks. Let's say 8 to 12 weeks, And I've been reflecting on that. And I think yesterday, as I was, jogging, trying to get back, to fitness and all that, it just hit me, I'm like, okay, there's something about this pausing thing that I think I need to share. So, where is this coming from? Like, I know like 3 incidents at a personal level happened to me, both work and, life-wise in the last 12 weeks. I am a family man, so I have kids, father of 3, very beautiful kids, young. So I don't usually, because of my date of my work, my busy schedule and all that, traveling a lot, and so I've not had a chance to spend quality time with them, because we live in different countries. So usually when that happens and it takes too long, or at least even each time we meet, whether it's after a couple of weeks or months, I usually, like, everything pauses. Now I tend to like fully focus and be present, so that it's more like catching up for the lost time, and it's always amazing. So that means, for example, if they want us to eat pizza, we'll eat pizza. So so food discipline goes to the window. Boom, dustbin, boom. If they want us to do soda, I'll test. If they want My kids like cooking. Uh, I think I inspired them to some, I would say, because I also like cooking sometimes. So they'll be experimenting, doing all sorts of sandwiches, all sorts of burgers and things like that. And you can't say no, at least you have to test. So, but then it hit me because I've had them around for close to 2 months. So that means I've had like 2 months of eating without really thinking too much about it. If they want to do fast foods, so be it. Because for me, it's it's more of, giving giving them, being with them in their space and uh, catching up and bonding and stuff like that. And it's 100% perfect. But obviously, it's the sacrifices definitely. I think as we speak, I've added so many pounds, so many kgs. So now I'm back to square zero, in terms of uh, body weight and fitness and all that. So of course it's something that I do very much aware. But the thing is though, in that particular scenario that I'm giving you, it meant I paused, um, you know, discipline in terms of what I eat. Also, so when you eat recklessly or when you eat unhealthy for quite some time, it becomes part of your routine. Certainly, you can't work out at the same rate. Your body slows down. Your metabolism, everything just you know goes what we call goes south. You know, but then I noticed because now I had paused. You know, the diet discipline, the workout discipline. You know, I even reduced like my work hours because I never take really leave. So those are the I just find that's an excuse for me to actually do bare minimum if I have to, so I can actually spend quality time with my kids and stuff like that. So, but then along the way, time just flew by. you know, for me, in my head, I was let me pause. This intense, discipline, eating discipline, sleeping discipline, work discipline, exercise discipline, and all that, because I need to be present. Because if the kids wants us to watch movies up to 2 a.m., so be it. And that's what happens usually. But then I realized time flies by. Like in the moment, I don't realize. It's like I wake up and like, Jesus, I've gained 5 kgs, 10 kgs, and stuff like that. Like, God damn it. The cultural reserve shoot to the roof. And then you realize, boom, now I'm back to square zero, to square one. Like, ground floor. If I was at the peak of the mountain, now I'm back to the bottom. Now I've started climbing again. Like, oh, God. But it took that brief moment of pause. But then I stayed in that pause, I think, for so long. And then the body sort of, the mind just, adjusted, but then it became a blind spot. So in this case, that therefore it means that uh, if you stay too long in that, particular pause, because for me this is this is a positive pause. I have my kids around, I'm excited, and we're kicking it. We're all um, having a good time. Then you find you're stuck in there. Before you know it, 3 months or whatever, 12 weeks or 2 months, 8 weeks. Now, the same goes for, now let's say, a victory or an achievement. Because in the same period, you know, I achieved a very heavy milestone, and I felt like, thankfully, it all came. It came at a time when there were the kids around, so I'm like, oh, this was a heavy workload on me. So, and whatever milestone I was, I achieved it. Okay. So there was call for celebration. And fortunately, I had so kids are also like, fantastic. So also, I'm like, okay, let me just, I'll just pause and savor the moment. Is that the word? So I can enjoy and reflect and bounce from there, upwards. But then now, but before I knew it, it was 12 weeks or 8 weeks. And I'm like in that moment. And it meant also that, I sort of like stayed in there too long. I didn't realize it actually. I'm still that pause, um, I'm still celebrating a victory of 12 weeks ago and stuff like that. Then I had another incident in that same period where I was involved in a very nasty accident actually. But fortunately, I had minor injuries. But then I left the car as a write-off, for lack of better words. So that was a negative pause, and then I was like, okay. So I could have died, Let me stop and reflect. But then in that, also, that's more like, like you're trying to reflect on life and that sad feeling that comes with this. I'm like, okay. So then I also realized that I have paused so long that it became a blind spot. So basically, if you look at this scenarios as a mountain, I think you could climb so high, get to the peak of that mountain. That's victory, right? But if you stay long into this in the celebration, there's a very high chance that you might freeze, because it's caught up there, and also there are higher mountains, so your competitors will just come and climb past you, go higher, stuff like that. At the same time, if you have a bad experience and you pause to reflect, the sadness and all that, that means you're at the bottom of the mountain. You might stay there for quite some time, and then either lose the energy to climb so you can get to the peak, but let me just get there. So if it's work or business, that means you're just stuck. Or if you're in the middle of the climb and then you pause to reflect on if it's a negative thing, that automatically drag you down. But also if let's say if you're halfway, and you pause to celebrate, that milestone, you can't be stuck there. And people will come and go past you. But in fact, so it made me think a bit more, And I actually remembered there's a book I'd read. I think it's called Relentless by a gentleman called Tim Grover. So he wrote a book. He used to be the trainer, I think, for the famous MJ, Mike Jordan, and the late Kobe. And I think other NBA superstars like Wade and all these other guys. Now, this guy came up with the concept. I think he called it. He referred to these guys as cleaners in the sense that these guys are like crazy winners, you know. And in in that book, there's a part where he was trying to talk more about, especially Mike Jordan, and he was saying that like some of these guys, the cleaners, right? In victory, they don't they don't take too long. In fact, that is now I was using an example of, let's say, after winning a game and stuff like that. They pause for 5-10 minutes, recognize the moment, then they would use the phrase done. Next. So he really emphasized the fact that, you know, like for these serial winners, and this principle that they would use actually in the even in the low moments. Like for example, MJ, Mark Jordan had a story. I think there was a time when his father was killed. I think he was, if I'm not wrong, he was assassinated or something. And he lived for his father in terms of motivation for his career. This guy was like everything for him. He journeyed with him, and I think his father was assassinated like today. And I think those guys had like a game that day or the following day. Right? Now you can imagine. And I think the game they were playing was, I think it was a playoff or something. It was crucial in that if they lost, they were out of the title race, the championship. This guy went, so the dad, the mom, you know, grieved for the moment, recognized the pain. Obviously, of course, bad arrangements were done and those things were continuing. And then, okay, done. Next, what is next? The next thing is, I have a game to play. This is what my father would have wished for me to do. And he went and he played one of his best games ever played. You can check it out actually, I think on YouTube. And the whole world was shocked. It's like, how are you able? So the only answer this guy could give was, I'm a cleaner. It's according to Tim Grover. You can't afford to pause for so long, whether in victory or in sorrow or in loss. So it actually made me also realize that I was trying to reflect yesterday during my work. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean for me? You know, because you will always have, and most of these pauses actually, especially the negative ones, they're forced on you. They just come automatically because we're humans. Let's not get this twisted. Because I'm like, now For example, in my case, you know, first of all, I have now to go back to square one, rebuilding my body, my fitness levels. Okay. Now the kids are gone. I need to like go back fully into work. I need to move past the accident. So I was asking myself, okay, so because this is life, and these things will happen every other day. So I think based on reflecting on that and what has worked for me in the past, I think it's always important. It's so hard, but it's always, I think, important to recognize what has happened in life. I know we say these things, but every other day we say these things. These are not like new things. But you have to force to train yourself. I think that's the best word to use. To grab that moment, that experience, negative or positive. It's a victory or a loss. Just place it aside. Recognize it. Learn from it. But then remember, now there's now and there's tomorrow. So once it's behind you, move on. Move on like it never really happened. I'm also learning. I'm really working on that. I can't lie to you guys. But it's the only way. Like, I keep saying these things, like, don't necessarily, it's easier said than done. It's the typical example of such. How do you just switch off? You've just lost your father, loved one. How do you mentally just switch off and say, I have a task before me? The bad news is that's the only solution. And the good news is you can train yourself. And I'm actually working on it. Because I think that's the only way. In a world full of so many difficulties, in a world full of so many challenges, in a world full of so many victories, don't overstay at that victory parade. Because the world won't pause, And actually, like, it's always tempting, like, let me just, stay it a bit longer. Let me feel this pain a bit longer. Let me enjoy this moment a bit longer. Granted, that's human nature. But that's not what will take you there. So I think it's maybe you can give yourself a window. You say, okay, I'll give this 24 hours, 3 days, whatever. Or I'll give it the day. Come nightfall, done. This is behind me, whatever the consequences. I can't change it. Moving forward. Is it easy? Not for me. Is it the only way? 100%. And again, I dare say this. Stay far too long in that pause, it will become a blind spot. And that's when you fall. Recognize it, embrace it, and share it 100%. I think you'll win. So if you want me to share the book, just drop it in the comments. I'll certainly share a link if I can find a link in the YouTube, or at least I'll share the name and the details. So anyway, it would be nice to know what you think, whether this message resonates with you. If you've had an experience, please share. At least share with me in the comment. It's good to know that these things are not just happening to you, because I'm sure there's so much hope that can go around in terms of sharing anything positive. This channel stands for sharing experiences that, in the hope and belief that this can be a positive, lesson to someone out there. So if you relate, I'd love to hear from you. If you also don't agree, if you think maybe there's a better way, please help us. Share your experience. And don't forget to like and sub. Don't be that silent majority, It helps a lot. It means the world to me if you find any reflection, inspiration, or relate to this message in any form or shape, or at least if you think it could help someone out there, please don't be mean. Share. As always, greetings from Nairobi, the beautiful city of Kenya. Mungu awabariki. God bless you. Mungu awabariki Africa. God bless Africa. Muhereza out. Catch you the next one.